Hi, welcome to the second episode of Chai and Charcha, and in this video we'll be talking about the Van Gogh immersive experiences and why I find them so problematic. So before I begin, I'd just like to drop in a quick disclaimer that whatever that you're hearing in this channel or in this video are purely my opinion, thoughts and things that I read online. I would link all the articles that I've referred to while writing the script of this video in the comment section below for you to refer to, and of course you may not have to, or you might not agree with whatever that I have to say, think and feel. You can always unrecommend this channel. And the pronunciation that I'm going to be using for Van Gogh and for the other artists and painters that I use in the videos are pronunciation which comes naturally to me, so take that with a grain of salt as well. I recently started getting a lot of ads of the immersive Van Gogh experiences on Facebook and Instagram, and I so happened to click on one of those and they led me to a bookmyshow.com ki site where they were selling these tickets from 700 rupees to 2000 rupees something. What was very strange about the 2000 rupees ticket was that they were not only selling the Van Gogh immersive experiences, they'd also not left the painter of Mona Lisa, Da Vinci alone. It is an immersive experience of that as well. So I didn't know that, but the advertisement was purely for the Van Gogh thing. One thing which I also find very weird about the whole thing was that advertisement in which there was a picture of the Van Gogh clearly made and generated using AI, and it really irked me a lot, and that is why I thought about making this video. So for anybody who doesn't know who Van Gogh is or the kind of work that he did, Van Gogh was a painter. He was born in Netherlands in 1853 and he killed himself in 1890s, and he was in Paris at the time. So for anybody who scrolls on Instagram or is chronically online, you would be well aware of his trauma was aestheticized. So basically what happened is that he suffered a lot mentally, and it is speculated that whatever that he was going through was passed on, and it was not something that he had developed. So he spent a lot of times in asylums, in hospitals and so on, and whatever that is left of his life is the paintings that he made in his life, as well as the letters that he wrote to his brothers and other family members while he was in the asylum or the hospital, and also the kind of records that are available of these places he was being admitted time and again. So what I find very interesting and also very problematic is how his work is limited to the Starry Night and the Vase and the 12 Sunflowers. So I was going through the internet and YouTube trying to find all the immersive experiences that are available online, and one thing which I find very weird is that really irked me was that one of the flowers from the paintings of the Vase and the 12 Flowers was seen flying through the Starry Night painting, and it really made me uncomfortable when I watched, because all these immersive experience is just a technological interpretation of the art that Van Gogh made at the time. I think more than the work that he did and the paintings that he made, problems that he faced in his life and the struggles that he had mentally are aestheticized online, and the trauma that he dealt with became the center of the attention more than his own work. I like to talk about some of the basic things which are present online which may or may not be true based on the other articles that I've read. So one of the things is that he did not sell any paintings in his life. So there is this research article which talks about how while he was not very famous, but he did sell a few paintings here and there. So a lot of paintings he also gifted to a lot of people, and there was a lot of exchanges which were happening. So he sent in, like, he made a lot of paintings and he also sold a few of them. Of course did not enjoy the kind of popularity that he has right now. Another thing is which I find very unique and weird is that it is said that he ate the paint yellow, and that he was very influenced by the color yellow, and that a lot of his paintings have the color yellow because of the certain drug that he was taking as medicine which made him see everything as yellow. So there is a researcher called P. Roglitz. She quotes Wolf in saying that in his words, the color yellow is often utilized to halo and encapsulate object. It is likely that having been treated with medical interventions of the 19th century, that the drug digitalis may have caused an over-exaggeration of yellow in Van Gogh's vision. It must be noted also that Van Gogh, suffering from mental issues as well, developed a passion for alcohol, abstinate, which he was very fond of, had a similar effect. The drink causes the consumer to see everything in a hue of yellow when partaken in excess. While there's another researcher called Wilfred Alford, and he, in his paper titled The Illness of Vincent van Gogh, talks about how probably he was not doing digitalis, which is a drug that people think that he was doing and he was addicted to because it was also a medicine, because there's no full proof which talks about that he was actually doing that drug. Also, there's another thing which people talk about is how he was eating the paint yellow because he wanted to feel better. But in this paper, which I would link below, talks about how he was not eating yellow paint because he liked the color yellow or he had the affinity with color yellow, but he was actually doing it because oil paint is mixed with turpentine, and he was addicted to that substance because it helped him sleep along with bromide and other things. So essentially he was not eating the color yellow, but he was eating the chemicals which in other forms he was consuming to battle insomnia, battle disorders that he really didn't know what to do with. A lot of my friends who went to these immersive experiences last time, and one of them talked about how she really didn't like these experiences because to make a lot of profit, these companies had ushered in a lot of people at the same time. So there was not only no space to click pictures, but it was overcrowded, it was hot, and the food that they were selling there was very expensive. Another thing while researching I found is that people have also been selling Van Gogh ka kata hua kaan as a thing. Imagine as an artist, imagine as a person who has been suffering so much, and then 200-300 years later your trauma, your pain is aestheticized or mass consumption, and the year that you out of misery, out of pain, out of helplessness is now hanging in a pouch of some 17-year-old girl. Because his pain has been so normalized and sold so much, a lot of people try to connect the paintings that he was making as traumatic experience that he was trying to overcome. None of his paintings have ever been made after that. So now, having briefly discussed the history of who Van Gogh was, let's talk about the immersive experiences and why I don't like. When I was in university, in one of my classes, a professor had said that poetry and art, they were not meant to anything but to touch you in places where hands couldn't, and these paintings are meant to be experienced, right? Experienced by one of the faculty. There is a critic called Olivia Frost, and she talks about how, to some extent, and particularly when users are more accustomed to seeing digital representations than originals in the museum, users may view the images as artifacts having their own intrinsic value rather than as imperfect surrogates to be compared against the original. One thing which I also find very problematic is that there is a painting by Van Gogh where he goes asylums or hospitals and he creates the bedroom that he is in, and it's called Bedroom in Arles or something. And in one of those experiences which I found online, what they were doing is that they had recreated that room where people could sit in, and there was a chair as it was there in the painting, and people could sit on the bed and click a picture, people could sit on the chair and click a picture. What is very weird to me about all of this is that Van Gogh was not doing well when he was in one of those places, and it was a very personal space. This is where ethics come in, that of course you may have access to the letters that he had written, but some places are sacred and private and something that should be remained as such. Not everything needs to be penetrated, not everything is supposed to be known and understood. So very personal and intimate part of his life, where the painter is of course struggling, is now reconstructed as one would like to see it, and people can now enter those spaces, click pictures and post them online. So it is a very sacred or deep place, which is a once private room, which is now become public for people to of course look into, see if they like or not, and do whatever one pleases. I think this idea of like looking into people's personal life or peeping into people's personal life can also be seen through shows like The Big Boss, or people's constant need to know what is happening in their favorite artist's personal life, especially actor, is also very similar to it. Of course he has made the painting, but of course he has not made the painting to be reconstructed into a room for other people to come sit and click pictures in. So I think that idea is also very deeply flawed. So there's a syndrome called the milkmaid syndrome. It is a term which was coined by Russ Church, and I will link her paper down below. And what she talks about in this paper is that there's a famous painting called The Milkmaid, and it is made by Johannes Vermeer, and it is exhibited in one of the museums. And what does milkmaid syndrome talks about is that the museum discovered that there are 10,000 copies of the same picture available online. People had consumed that copy of the original painting so much that when they visited the museum and when they saw the painting, they couldn't simply believe that the postcard that they had and the painting that was exhibited, which was the original, or the versions that they were seeing online, was actually the original picture. What these immersive experiences do is that they are not only a copy of but also interpretation of the paintings that was made by Van Gogh during his time. It has been posted as the real picture of Van Gogh. So if somebody who is so accustomed to the idea of having all his senses enthralled, they would never be able to enjoy a painting in the museum, because they would be so accustomed to just being bombarded with images, sounds, ideas without having to think much about it. Another thing which I hear all the time is that it is thought of and said that these museums are places which are not accessible to everybody. What these immersive experiences do is that they give people a space to kind of not only interact with art but also to experience it. But what my problem with these experiences is that whatever they are interacting with is not exactly art, but it is a technological representation of the art made so that they kind of enthrall the audience. When painting is not, of course a painting is made to be viewed and understood and seen and interpreted, but they are not meant to entertain you, they're just meant to be. So another thing which I find very flawed with the whole thing is that we as a society, we as people would never support artists or would always try to get art for cheap. The Ghibli trend which has been happening, I've talked about it in the last video, how art is now just being copied rapidly. I've heard a lot of artists talk about how people would not buy their art because they would find it very expensive. Our artists today are also struggling the way Van Gogh was struggling 50, 100 years ago, but instead of supporting somebody who actually needs a support, we are looking at the technological version of things. Not only looks good on our Instagram feeds, etc., it has somehow become the norm. So the idea is that instead of meeting the painter and the artist in a place where they would have liked to visit or revisit their art, instead of meeting the work of the painting on their own, you are now being bombarded by an idea of somebody who doesn't even know the painter, and they have edited the image in such a way that there are big screens around you, and then you are just being images are being just thrown at you, and you have no idea but to consume it. So what I'm trying to say is that these Van Gogh experiences have been commercialized to death. I don't think so Van Gogh would have liked to see what is happening around him, and I think he would have died 100 deaths seeing the kind of way his paintings have been edited and changed to suit the audience. That I'm trying to bring back home out of whatever that I've discussed is when Van Gogh is making his paintings, he is going against the grain where it's commonly believed that it is right to paint naturalistic images. So Van Gogh is a post-impressionist painter, right? Been struggling a lot, and people do not support him at the time in the same way that we do not support the artists of our time. Instead, what we try to do is throw money at and interact with version and an interpretation of somebody who may or may not have known Van Gogh, and using their paintings to kind of make a khichdi out of it, which does not do anything but gives you Insta worthy photos for you to post online and do free marketing for them. This was it for today's video. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye bye.